After learning how to import a table into R, let's do some practices on a table in R. Before we start our practice on the table, that is the binary CSV file, here is two simple similar commands: minimum object that returns the object minimum and maximum object that returns the object minimum. If you put anything here, if it is table, if it is list, if it is vector, it returns the minimum, and for this it returns the maximum. Now we are gonna use the things for the following exercise. Classwork 1, it asks us to create a data frame. For data frame, now generally you know what is data frame. Generally you know that data frame is a table, but after this exercise, when we do some practices with a data frame, after that we are gonna check some more explanation, elaboration about data frame, because after that, since you have worked with data frames, since you know them, understanding those academic type of explanations and elaboration would be easier, would be more understandable. So here it asks us to create a data frame by R based on binary.csv. What is binary.csv? It is the file that you downloaded, and I just read it into R. And when it says create a data frame by R based on this, see, when you read this binary.csv into R, you already have a data frame. So anything you do on that data frame is going to be a data frame. Okay, so I just interpret for you this part, that it is not a big deal. You just import this binary.csv into R and do some manipulation on that, and you already have a data frame. And it says create a data frame by R based on binary.csv that holds the normalized value of the three input columns. I need to explain this part to you, because R is, as you know, mostly being used for a statistical and data analytical applications. So these are some terminologies that you will see a lot. See here, it asks you to normalize the three input column. Okay, what is input column? Input column is something that you give to the system to give the output. What is the output, my friends? In data analytics, here it is classification. Okay, so it says that when index 1 is 380, when index 2 is 3.61, and when index 3 is 3, the class is 0. When the inputs are these, the class is 1. When inputs are these, class is this. So these things are just giving you some extra explanation to get what it is about. When you are learning R, you don't need to know about any of these things. Just go and, as it tells, normalize these three input columns. But I'm just explaining to you what does it mean, why it doesn't tell you what is input and what is output. So as you can see here, index 1 is numbers 380, 660, 800. Index 2 is 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, and here again we have something between 1. As you can see, the scale of the numbers are not the same, so it asks us to normalize it between 0 and 1. Here, that is the output column. Why it doesn't ask us to normalize it? Because it is already normalized. As you can see, all the numbers here are 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. So there is no norm for normalizing. But here, the number here are 500, 600, 800. The number here are 3, 4, and something. So it wants to make all the scales the same. So we are going to do that. I just wanted to tell you about that input column, why it says only normalize these 3 input columns, because they are not in the same range of 0 to 1. In the hint part, it says, in our case, with binary.csv that I just showed you, normalization between 0 and 1 has been chosen. It is just the case because we want to make the scales the same. You can make the scales the same between 0 and 100, between 0 and 1. You can make it on any scale. Here, it has chosen 0 to 1. In our case, with binary normalization, scale up the input a value inputs. Okay, a value is normalized as follows with this formula. How it's gonna formula? You remember I told you about minimum and maximum, and here we are gonna just practice it, my friend. And here we are gonna normalize each column in this way. For example, if we have these 3 columns, and here, for example, we have 600, here we have 4, here we have 3. When we want to normalize it, we need to use this formula. This formula says x minus minimum of the column over maximum of the column minus minimum of the column. You don't need to memorize this formula, my friend, but you should be able, when they ask you to apply this formula to a table, you should be able that. What is the formula they want you to apply? This is this formula. Why they want you to have it normalized? The only part that is related to an R programmer is the fact that they know how to make any formula possible. Exactly the same way with the other programming languages. Some people comes with medical applications to you as R programmers. Some people comes with sport applications to you as R programmers. Some people come to you with statistical applications of R, and so you should be that much skilled with R to be able to input any of this formula. So here I just introduced to you. If you are confused, please replay the formula another time. And again, you are not supposed to know this formula or memorize it or any of these things. They just come to you and ask you to apply this formula to this table. And now I'm going to show you step by step about this. What is this x? This is 600. What is this minimum? This minimum is minimum of this column. What is this max? This is maximum of this column. What is this minimum? Minimum of this column. When you calculate all these things, you replace 600 with the normalized 600. After that, you start with 4. After that, you continue with 3. Again, you put 3 here. 3 is here. Minimum for 3 is the minimum of the column 3 is in. Maximum is the maximum of the column 3 is in, and likewise. After this classwork, you should be better in working with tables. And if you do everything right, you should get such a result. Just to have a better practice, my friend, before you check the answer with the R practice that I'm now just gonna do it for you, stop the video and try your best according to what we have discussed so far. Try to do it yourself, and if you want to check your answer is correct or not, check it with this result. I know it is confusing at this phase, but it is just a practice, okay? Try your best. You have the table and you know the mathematical points about R because we discussed it before. I have exactly told you how R consider doing some mathematical operators between matrices, between tables and numbers. Try your best, and after that, check what I'm showing you just in a few seconds. Okay, here we have the table that we want, that is FTO. I'm gonna take it and check it. And see, my friends, when I run FTO, as you see here, FTO, I can find it here. And when I click on this, it also shows me the data in this more attractive way. No benign malignant, index 1, index 2, index 3, and all those things here. And so I see I have the data correct. And as you can see, FTO is not, they are not normalized. We want all this data between 0 and 1. So let's do it together. Okay, when we want to do that, I do it step by step, and I'm not gonna do it all at once. So in that way, you can consider it a better and more elaborative exercise. Okay, let's start with normalizing the index 1 column. Okay, we have FTO. You know that when we want to go for any specific column, we use dollar sign. So dollar sign, we go for index 1 equal. Okay, equal, and now I go for the formula that I just showed you in the PowerPoint. If you have forgot it, please go and check it. So I'm gonna write it. I say that FTO, the column that I want to normalize, dollar index 1 minus minimum of that column over maximum of FTO. Again, we go for that column minus minimum of that column that we want to normalize. What is that column that we want to normalize? Index 1. And that's great that it is being recorded, so you can replay it a lot. Okay, as you can see, I make this one FTO index 1, the new one, equals to that column minus the minimum over the maximum minus minimum. Now again, I'm going to show you the formula in the PowerPoint, so you will be better in control of the things that you are seeing and hearing. See, my friends, it is exactly the same formula that I just showed you. And just one question you may ask. You may ask, what? You here told us it is 600, but now in the R page, you are telling us that's a column. Okay, that's a good point about R. Instead of putting each element one by one, you can put all the columns here. So you put all the columns minus minimum of the column over maximum of the column minus minimum of the column. Okay, and now here, remember, you don't need to memorize any formula. The formula is given to you because you are just a programmer and you just need to be able to apply those formula to R. So I'm run it and let's go and check the new FTO that we have. As you can see here, the new FTO. And all the numbers here are between 0 and 1. And if you want to check the answer with the other one, 2775 for the first. And here, my friends, you can see the answers for GRE, that is the first column, and the first 2775 and 1. Okay, now take a deep breath and start doing it yourself.